The next question for you, Mrs. Harpeta. The tertiary education sector is a huge part of the city's economy and its identity. What is your view on tertiary education's role in society? And specifically, do you think that tertiary education is a human right, or should access to it reflect the specific needs of the national economy?
It's a good question. I've worked at Massey University for 10 years, been a student there as well, got both my degrees there. So Massey University's had a big part in my life. We all know that 9% of our economy in Palmerston North are employed in education, so it's a big part of our city and going forward, a big part of the future of the city. In answering your question, a student, when you ask the question, a student needs to go in and have access to education, but before they can do that, they need to have good skills in terms of going through and being able to read and write by the time they leave secondary school. A lot of our kids don't and can't read and write. 1 in 5 can't read and write when they leave secondary school, and those stats aren't good enough, and we shouldn't be putting up with that. So that's why National has put in national standards, so that we can actually,
Ladies and gentlemen, please.
So that we can actually, I'm getting on to tertiary, it leads on. If they can't read and write in primary and then secondary school, they're never going to get to tertiary. So it does as a building block all the way through. Yeah. But back to the question, it's an interesting question, because we do need to be able to have careers out there where people can actually go in and work in a career. And that's the hardest thing, I think, is that we have a lot of offerings at different universities where there's too many offerings and there aren't specific jobs for people to go into, and that's the hardest part about tertiary education. So a big part of it is making sure we've got a tertiary education system that works for our economy, that builds our economy and builds our research factors, and that's where we really need to build our capabilities. So having a good tertiary system is very important, and National really supports a good tertiary system.
Mr. Lees-Galloway.
I do believe that tertiary education is a right for everybody, especially if you're trying to engage in the modern economy. It's very, very difficult these days to get a job unless you've got a certain set of skills. So if participating in the job economy, in the job market, I should say, is a right and in fact necessary, then surely tertiary education is also a right. Tertiary education is about a lot more than universities. It's about adult and community education. It's about polytechnics. It's about wānanga. It is about universities, and it's also about apprenticeships. Tertiary education refers to everything that happens after secondary school. And I was interested to hear what Leonie said about having the right skills to engage in university. What National has said to people is, if you're a second chance learner, you're on your own. There's nothing there for you anymore. They've taken away adult and community education, which for so many people is the way back into education. They cut the tertiary incentive allowance for people who are on benefits, who are trying to study. They've reduced the funding. Well, actually, what they've done is, although they've put more funding into tertiary education, it hasn't kept up with inflation. So in real terms, it is a funding cut for our tertiary institutions. And they've placed caps on university courses at the most inappropriate time. When the job market is tight, that is exactly when we should be encouraging people to study, to get the right skills, not only so that they can re-enter the job market, but so that when the economy turns around again, we have the people with the right skills to grow our economy. It wasn't that long ago that employers were crying out for people with the right skills to employ. And we will get back to that point again if we have the right policies and we do grow our economy. But we will get nowhere if we don't train our people up now. So it is important that governments put proper investment into all aspects of tertiary education.